Peter Obi has once again sparked a national conversation about the state of Nigeria's democracy, this time calling out the House of Representatives for what he describes as a decision that protects corruption rather than the future of the nation. The former Labour Party presidential candidate talked to social media on Sunday to express his disappointment after federal lawmakers rejected a proposal that would have made vote buying during party primaries a criminal offence punishable by a 2-year jail term. This rejection has reignited debates about whether Nigerian politicians are truly committed to electoral reform or whether they prefer maintaining a system that allows money to determine who gets elected into office. The controversy began when the House of Representatives was conducting a clause-by-clause review of proposed amendments to the Electoral Act of 2022. During these deliberations held on Thursday, lawmakers voted down a provision that sought to criminalize the practice of financially or materially inducing delegates during party primaries, congresses, or conventions. While the House approved stiffer penalties for other electoral offences, increasing the fine for forging nomination papers or election results sheets from 50 million naira to 75 million naira with an alternative 10-year jail term, and imposing a 5 million naira fine for improper use of voter cards, they specifically rejected the measure targeting vote buying at the primary level. The reason given by the lawmakers was that such provisions could potentially be abused to harass political opponents, but this explanation has not satisfied critics like Peter Obi, who see the decision as self-serving. In his statement shared on his official account, Obi did not mince words in describing vote buying as a cancer that has long undermined Nigeria's democracy and damaged the country's credibility both at home and internationally. He emphasized that many Nigerians had genuinely hoped that the House of Representatives would finally take a decisive stand against this practice, only to have that hope extinguished when the lawmakers chose what he called protecting a broken system over safeguarding the nation's future. The former Anambra State Governor's criticism strikes at a fundamental question about how serious Nigerian politicians are about cleaning up the electoral process, especially when the proposed reforms would directly affect their own ability to use money to secure party nominations. What makes Obi's intervention particularly significant is his argument that any meaningful effort to stop vote buying must begin at the party primaries. He pointed out that without addressing the problem at its roots, any measures taken at later stages of the electoral process will lack the strength to endure. This makes logical sense when you consider that party primaries are where candidates emerge in the first place, and if those primaries are compromised through vote buying, then the general elections that follow are already built on a corrupt foundation. Obi warned that credible elections cannot be built on corrupt foundations and that national progress cannot be achieved while inducement and bribery are legitimized within the democratic process. His statement that a democracy where votes are bought is not a true democracy, but rather a criminal marketplace, has resonated with many Nigerians who feel frustrated with how money has come to dominate politics in the country. The House of Representatives also made another controversial change during their amendments by removing a clause that mandated the outright cancellation of election results in polling units where overvoting occurs. Instead, they replaced it with a framework that allows excess votes to be deducted proportionally from candidate scores while the presiding officer faces prosecution. This change, combined with the rejection of the vote-buying provision, has raised concerns among election observers and civil society organizations about whether these amendments genuinely strengthen electoral integrity or whether they actually create more loopholes that can be exploited by those with resources and connections. Now, if you're finding this breakdown helpful and you want to stay updated on important political developments that affect all of us as Nigerians, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel because your support helps us continue bringing you these crucial conversations about our democracy and governance. Peter Obi also raised an alarming observation about how the culture of vote buying has spread beyond formal political elections into other areas of Nigerian society. He noted that this practice has now trickled down to town unions, village unions, clubs, associations, and even student elections, where young people are emulating fraudulent politicians instead of learning democratic values. This observation highlights a deeper problem where corruption in high places normalizes corrupt behavior at every level of society, creating a vicious cycle where each generation learns from the previous one that everything has a price and that integrity is negotiable. When students see politicians buying votes and winning elections, they naturally conclude that this is how things work, and they replicate the same behavior in their own campus elections, thereby ensuring that the cancer Obi speaks of continues to metastasize throughout Nigerian society. The former presidential candidate concluded his statement by calling for bold and urgent reforms, insisting that Nigeria's democratic future must not be for sale, and that a new Nigeria is possible, but only if citizens confront these practices boldly and demand that integrity begins at the very start of the electoral process. His intervention comes at a time when many Nigerians are questioning whether their votes truly matter or whether elections are simply predetermined by whoever has the deepest pockets to distribute cash and other inducements to delegates and voters. The fact that elected representatives themselves voted against criminalizing vote buying at primaries has only deepened this cynicism and raised uncomfortable questions about whose interests these lawmakers are really protecting. What do you think about this development? Should Nigerian lawmakers have criminalized vote buying at primaries, or were they right to reject this provision because of concerns about potential abuse? Do you believe that our democracy can ever be truly credible as long as money continues to play such an overwhelming role in determining who gets elected? Share your thoughts in the comment section below, because this conversation affects every single Nigerian who cares about the future of our country. Your voice matters in determining what kind of political system we want to have, and engaging in these discussions is part of how citizens hold their leaders accountable and push for the changes that Nigeria desperately needs if we are ever going to move from being a nation of enormous potential to one that actually fulfills that potential for the benefit of all its citizens.